Okay, thank you all. So, ladies, gentlemen, dear friends, a few words. Walking miles along the alleys of the LVCC or the Sands, I suddenly had a strange idea. The idea that I was once attending the first CES in New York back in 1967, and that some technical testing default put me in a fridge for 50 years, which merely happened to us yesterday, by the way, in this room. And then I wake up 2 days ago in Vegas and frozen. Another world, another planet, but still, ideas shared on image, sound, wavebands for transmission of information. As the CEO of UIC, as I have been frozen for 50 years, I still remember back then that in the 60s we were already talking of cybernetics, computing, automation, interoperability, and connectivity. Same vision, but with a tremendous acceleration of time and technology. And the mission of UIC, created in 1921, is, among others, precisely to anticipate the future trends, the future innovations that would be the basis for the future of the railway industry. We are, I hope, successfully fulfilling our mission, and UIC has supported and contributed to the development and implementation of all major railway projects for now close to a century. Today, in our 21st century, we are facing once again another industrial revolution. I will say the fourth one, the digital revolution. After the first one with the steam engine, the second one with the electric power, and the third one with information technology, we are now facing, with this new revolution, 3 new paradigms. The first one is we have to go from a world of possess to a world of access. As you know well, Jeremy Rifkin has already foreseen a couple of years ago. The second one is we have to find a better balance between individual liberty and collective benefit. And the third one is we have to go from self-centered habits to open ecosystems. In this context, what about transportation? Transportation has, I said just before, to go from mobility to accessibility. Transportation is becoming somehow an optimized way to access a succession of space and time slots with different modes. And rail has to be seen as the backbone of this new integrated chain of mobility. The main key of a win-win strategy for the transport modes and for the modern societies can be summarized in what I call the 5 I's. Whatever you move, from electrons to trains, you need infrastructure. Infrastructure, especially for surface transportation, needs a lot of investment. To be productive, investment needs kind of innovation. Innovation, to be smart, needs intelligence, and this in a chain of integration. And here you have your 5 A's. And the comeback of rail in this win-win strategy everywhere in the world is actually sustained by large investment. If you go by the forecast of the OECD, in the next 15-20 years, it's more than $1,100 trillion that will be invested, all modes together, 50% of this money in rail, half of this on high-speed corridors around the world, projects or developed. But this strategy has also to be developed in this new digital context of big data, which I would decline this time in 5 C's. Data, you have to collect them, obviously, but also you have to be able to correct them and control them, because there's some maybe fake, as we know. Then, the heart of it is you have to connect them. When you have done this, you have to do commerce. But commerce in the humanistic sense of the word. And 5th C is obviously what we are all here for, and what CES is for, the symbol of, is create. In this context, we obviously need to act more rapidly, more reactively, with a better relation with each other, and more responsible. This is what I call the 4R attitude. Rapid. Why? Because technological transformation cycles require to go faster and faster. Reactive, as the evolution and the needs of the market are changing and the answer in terms of mobility is speeding up increasingly. This generates a real difficulty for the railway industry, as we said, with a rather big volume of investments with a rather low return on these investments, and the necessity to have a political, long-term and stable vision. This implies the development of new decision-making systems, new data managing tools, new services that will respond to a more and more reactive demand. And this is good for all industries. Relational. It seems obvious that we must open the traditional silo, working more towards new partners, open to digital ecosystems such as startups and universities. In UIC, we are now opening up to 40 universities around the world working with us, and an increasing number of startups. This is the core of the idea of our digital platform, with a philosophy that stands in 3 words: to share, to open, and to connect. We also need to probably build a new partnership approach between manufacturers and operators. Responsible. Responsible, since mobility, being actually the transportation of goods and people, is the key to social and economic development in the world. But we have also to remember that the transport sector is the biggest contributor, up to 25% of the CO2 emissions in the world. And that's because of the growth of exchanges and because of urbanization. This will grow by 2030 by 300%. So the development of the transportation system has to be managed in a complementarity approach, as we said, interfaced and interactive, so that it could fulfill somehow the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. In this new world of big data, connectivity, blockchain, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, IoTs, 5Gs, cloud computing, quantum computing, the expectations of the digital inputs on our business lie in 2 points. Productivity. Productivity of the operation via better optimization of the capacities, both of the infrastructure and the rolling stock capacities, thanks to more integrated, standardized approach of both, as I said, signaling and telecommunication. This is the major project that UIC is developing at the moment, with a number of members coming from all continents, called FRMCS, the Future Radio Mobile Communication System. Productivity, also with an optimization of the maintenance processes, which, a little bit like medicine, we heard a lot of health yesterday and this morning, have to evolve from a reactive to a predictive to a prescriptive approach. Second, services. Services with higher performance of new services, thanks of course to the IoTs and connected information technology systems. By 2025, we all know that more than 50 or 100 billion IoTs will be disseminated all around the world. And this will generate an increase of $15 trillion worth of global GDP. And the 5 main domains of our sector that could benefit from this are information, distribution, ticketing, payment with the input of QR codes or facial recognition, and online services. But all these evolutions will have to always keep in mind 2 major principles. One, as I answered just now, is the basic principle since rail was created, is referring to safety and security. And the digital impact on the potential risk must be strictly managed in the international context, with multilateral cooperation between stakeholders, with a permanent and reactive approach of cybersecurity that can be declined actually in what we call the CBRN risks: chemical, biological, radiologic, and nuclear risks. The second aspect to remember is to preserve the human intelligence from the potential predominance of the machine intelligence, even if Sophia was very lively and very lovely. Everything that cannot be digitalized will have an even more precious value. And this is why, in my opinion, the definition, or I like semantics, the definition of artificial intelligence, AI, should rather be understood as IA, intelligent assistance to mankind. And speaking of mankind and the human impact, we have also to remember that the first software ever invented in the world, yesterday morning we started from Cambrian, was the language for the transmission of ideas. And before IoTs, the first web of transmission was IOPs, Internet of Persons. Let's never forget that. So for me, all what I said, actually on this panel and now, can be, I think, summarized in an acronym, a new vision for smart connectivity at the service of smart mobility between smart stations and cities. This is CCCOM. And Don, you must remember that wording because it was the theme of our panel in Paris in December. CCCOM is sustainable, integrated, connected, intelligent chain of mobility. And this is how we have to see the vision of the future. So what I have just said can be, if you want to remember it, summarized in 3 paradigms: 5 I's strategy, 5 C's line of actions, 4 R's attitude, 3 words for a philosophy, and a 7-letter acronym for a vision. Thank you very much again for your invitation and kind attention.
Okay, that was, okay, was that not a remarkable closing speech? The problem is that it was so good, Mike Dent leaned forward and said, Don, why didn't you have him open instead of close? So what we're going to do is, while we've recorded it, we're going to remove that file, and then you just hold those remarks. Many people have had to leave for all kinds of reasons, and we're going to have you open with exactly that speech next year. So it was that good. We are at the end, and you truly are the Vegas Strong that are still with us. And I hope you had just a fantastic experience here. It is our 14th year. Next year is a 5-year, and it's going to be super special. I want to go through some things, tell you about some photos and things that are available. Jean-Pierre, you were very hard to follow, but this is the thank you part. All of you experienced our event staff that takes off from school or their jobs every year, and they register, and they're up late, and they're doing a lot of things. And Amanda DeSanctis, Sarah Lenore Upson, this is in order of seniority, Allie Woods, Chris Forsgren, and Jace and Garrett Kuhn. Please give them a round of applause for working with us. Gerson Arias is here, and he has helped us with our web and program and produced the program every year since I can remember, and does a lot of emergency things. Gerson, thank you for what you've done. You have seen during the breaks and everything, literally there have been hundreds and hundreds, I think actually I heard about more than hundreds and hundreds of photos, and produced instantly, made into collages. Every single attendee of CES government has been captured multiple times, and so the files of the conference and those photos will be available on the GBF Forum website Tuesday or Wednesday, and every attendee will get a thank you letter that will have that information. So please give John Zaramsky a round of applause. Our audio-video team and the hotel, the hotel and the audio-video team have been spectacular, and we hope you like the venue and our stage because those people were remarkable. For 13 years, Sarah Louise Upson did a marvelous job of coordinating the miking, the setup, the timing, and everything else, so please give her a round of applause. The new president of Upson Technology is going to be working with me very closely throughout the year on the market we have had. Is a tremendous new hire for us coming from FirstNet, and she has helped with the permission of FirstNet responsible for this stage, but a lot of the content, the management of the conference is, please give Chrissy Kuhn a great round of applause. And finally, Mary Shea has done such a spectacular job, and before you give her a round of applause, is this woman has done events all over the world, and the level of management that you see here, the elegance, everything is a function of someone who I think is the best event person anywhere, who's done G8, White House, governor's things. And what we do, what she does for us at CES Government is extraordinary. I don't know if you know it, but some of you do. We bring in outside furniture, so this looks more like a nightclub than it does an uncomfortable long table thing. That's Mary Shea. Last night, she had someone from New York design inside the hotel, came in, and the tablecloths on the tables were exactly matched to the colors of the GBF logo. Now, I didn't know that. Doug Wagner came in and said, look, I went right for the sliders and the open bar. But a lot of work goes into everything, from the management of your arrival to your departure, is the event management and the logistics is all Mary Shea, so please give her a round of applause. We're going to do some things that you'll see as we really are developing a platform for the communication between all levels of government, especially focused on U.S. federal government, but increasingly expanding. So the Government Business Executive Forum and our flagship program, CES Government, is a different kind of program, and we will encourage people to be more involved with it, because what we did today is part of our program, and it will integrate throughout the year and continue, and then come back here and start again in Las Vegas next year. You will also see a closer relationship. Well, it is close, but more integration between what we do and with the Consumer Technology Association and CES. We will be integrating more in the smart city, smart infrastructure discussions. And as you go forward, we're really making this a very significant outreach and platform for high-value communications between leaders in technology, both industry and government. On behalf of the Government Business Executive Forum, thank you, each and every one of you, for being here. For us, it was an extraordinary 3 days, and we hope it was for you. Thank you, and safe travels home.
don't ever let me be. I only wanna be by your side. Please, don't ever let me be. I only wanna be by your side. Girl, you really got me now. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing, yeah. Oh yeah, you really got me now. Got me so I can see that night. You really got me. You really got me. You really got me. Oh no, no. Girl, you really got me now. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing.